While the last video I made about cheating was fully scripted, this one's going to be more off the cuff for the sake of getting it out quicker, so bear with me. Okay, for some background context, Civ 6 competitive multiplayer is run by the community, largely through an organization called CPL. CPL has a ranked system for free-for-all games that resets every 6 months, and at the end of those 6 months, the top 10 players on the leaderboard are allowed to play in a single show match with cash prizes funded by the community. The finals for both Season 1 and Season 2 featured Andrew, who is now known to have been cheating in every game he could, including the aforementioned finals. His methodology was the use of third-party programs to reveal the map, ensuring he always found as many tribal villages and city-states as possible as quickly as possible. He took second place in both games and walked away with a couple $100 as a result. If you want a full breakdown of how Andrew cheated and how we discovered how Andrew cheated, you can watch the video that I already have on that up on my channel. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I'm very confident that the winner of the Season 3 finale for CPL, Broccoli, is also a cheater. That brings us into part 1 of this video, the evidence against Broccoli. Alright, so in this part of the video, I'll talk about what first tipped me off to the fact that Broccoli may be cheating. Okay, so since the Andrew investigation, people have been a bit more on guard against potential cheating using map packs like this Civ Replay to reveal the map. Now, this program was designed to allow players to load in save files after a game had been completed in order to review their games. It has several anti-cheating measures in place, but there are ways to get around these anti-cheating measures. So what we suspect players are doing is using a program like this, although not necessarily this one, to reveal the map on turn 1, find where all the tribal villages are, where all the city-states are, and then hunt after the best ones with their units. So in this game, we are actually investigating a different player, Bruiser. Bruiser is the Persia player here. Suffice it to say, he definitely is cheating. You can see like his scout just goes straight for this hut, goes straight for that hut, right? And then it goes to meet a city state, goes up here. There's like other tells, like if we go a bit further forward, there's a moment here where if we go to his POV, right? Bruiser doesn't see any of this. Suddenly he buys a mountain tile to get a +6 campus. He had no way of knowing this was here. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have iron revealed yet, so he could look at this. Yeah, he's researching bronze working, so he doesn't have iron revealed. He could have just taken the +3 campus, which is what I think most people would have done. Bruiser's cheating. This video is not about Bruiser because he's already been banned. What I noticed in this game is that Broccoli also had a highly suspect game. So I have been looking at every other top player I can whenever I get a chance to look at them. And the Bruiser investigation was the perfect opportunity because I got to look at a bunch of different players that I don't normally get to play with, either because they're like awake at different hours than me, or maybe they're avoiding my lobbies. I don't know. But for whatever reason, there are several players that I rarely get into games with. And Broccoli here is playing Hungary. Now, Hungary is a civ that gets extra production on districts built across the river from the city center. You can see here he's just moving to take advantage of this. That's very normal. He wants to build his districts across the river, get extra prod on them, whatever. This very generic set of bonuses doesn't really predispose it towards any particular opening. So what you'll see is that Hungary typically goes for commercial hubs in pretty much every game. That's basically the generic bread and butter of multiplayer Civ 6. But Broccoli does something interesting here. He's teching astrology. He's going to go for a holy site Hungary opener, which is pretty exotic. It's not completely unheard of, but this is not something that you would regularly see. And in this game, that ends up working out extremely well for him. So his units are going to hunt down all the city-states near him. He meets this right here, Bologna, goes up, grabs a hut, and then this unit is just going to, if we follow this warrior, it goes for this hut, sees that it's taken. We can go to his POV to see how he's moving. If we fast forward, it goes straight through this player's land, goes up here, misses this hut, and then meets this white city-state. Now, this is actually the 4th white city-state he's met at this point. Every white city-state gives extra yields on holy site buildings. The more of them there are, the better a holy site build order is. So he manages to meet Candy, he manages to meet Armagh, he manages to meet Jerusalem, and over here he met Chinguetti. So there are a lot of white city states, far more than normal, and he meets all of them, and it super turbocharges his holy site build order. Not only that, he has Ayutthaya, which gives production or gives culture from having built buildings. And this allows him to get away with taking the Monumentality Golden Age dedication, which allows him to faith purchase units with faith, or faith purchase civilian units. That way, he can rely entirely on Ayutthaya's suzerain bonus to generate his culture and still have a very good pace through the game. This is basically the dream game for Holy Site Hungary. And the way he scouts these city states is like impeccable. He manages to get to them basically as quickly as possible, right? Like right here, right? It is somewhat strange. First off, he already met Ayutthaya. He does not go for this hut. I believe the unit had moved away on the following turn. Like, this shows you where the unit was at the end of the turn. So next turn, it's definitely not standing on the hut. And instead of going for the hut, he goes to first meet the city-state. Now, if you're the first one in the world to meet a city-state, you get a free envoy with it. With white city-states, that means extra faith in the capital and on all city centers. He goes down here, meets this city-state. Of course, this unit did go back and grab the hut, if we see. And then this unit basically hunts down Chinguetti as quickly as possible. If we see here, this wonder is Matterhorn. This allows any scout that moves next to it to ignore the movement cost of hills for the rest of the game. Not just scouts, all units, but in this case, a scout. So he takes the left side promo on a scout, which also allows it to ignore the movement cost of moving through woods and rainforests. This means that all tiles can be traveled at the cost of one movement. So we'll see here, it moves 3 tiles, it moves 3 tiles, grabs a hut, 3 tiles, 3 tiles. And what you'd expect here is that because crossing a river uses up all the movement, you kind of don't want to cross rivers when you have these 2 promos. So what most players would do in this position is they're just going to keep moving along the river as long as they can, because the tundra is extra dense in city states. You know, if I get all the way north, I'm likely to meet more city states. Hungary has bonuses towards controlling city states, so it's very important on the Civ to get to the tundra as quickly as possible. He makes a weird move here. I mean, most players are going to go up here where they can move 3 tiles, not go in the direction where they can move only 1 tile. But this works out perfectly for him, because it's getting him to Chinguetti, which is the last white city state he wants to meet, and probably the best white city state in the game for its suzerain bonus, as quickly as possible. So now, see here, turn 25, he's on the opposite side of the map. He's met 3 white city states. We know this warrior is going to meet a 4th. Right? This is his unit right here. It goes to here, goes up, meets Lahore, goes up, gets a hut. Right? Like, this is a crazy game. And absolutely everything went right. He met every city state as quickly as possible. There are other tells. There's only 2 blue city states. The blue city states give extra yields on all science buildings. So he would also want to meet these. He's already met one. And if we look here, he wants to meet this other one, but there's nothing over here, right? Most players would want to scout all the way along the northern and southern tundra because they're extra dense in city states. But we'll see is that he's going to leave a massive blind spot all over here because there's not going to be any city states there. If we just fast forward a bit, going over here, he's doing some war over here. He went for an early war against this player. And he finally meets the second blue city state on turn 61. Now, that's pretty late, but he also, you can see here, he's building a university in this city, this city, this city. He didn't need to meet it earlier than this. You only really need to meet the blue city states in time to get the yields on your universities, because that's when they really matter. So he's met both blue city states exactly as he needs to, and then hasn't really scouted any of the map where there aren't any useful city states. And that would be this game. Now, I'm going to show you some other games of his that we collected, because after this game, I started collecting some of Broccoli's save files, because even though we were investigating Bruiser, who definitely did cheat in this game, by the way, even more blatantly than Broccoli, I was suspicious after this. So let's look at the next save file. All right, so this is the second game. Now, I'm actually playing in this game. I am the Ethiopia. I spawned over here. I have this game on my YouTube channel. You can go watch it. I played the full game and upload the VOD from my POV. Broccoli is over here. He is playing Eleanor, England. If we see here, he's going to have some very accurate scouting, but maybe not perfectly. Like there's every unit's going to be like one tile off from getting to the huts as quickly as possible, but they're still fundamentally getting huts quickly, right? This warrior moves this direction. There's nothing unnatural about these moves, and you could easily expect an innocent player to find this hut quickly. Then he goes here, here, go down, follow the path of least resistance, down, down. Now, I think this is around the stage. All of these are flat tiles. If I were playing in his position, I would think we're at the elevation where city-states spawn. They all tend to spawn around this elevation. So once you get here, you just sweep left or right across the entire tundra to meet all of them. But what he does is he keeps going all the way down to the bottom of the map to pick up a hut. Then he comes up, picks up another hut. There was one over here a moment ago. He's going to go check this. It's not there anymore. And now this warrior has a new objective. It's going to hunt down the city-states of Singapore and Kumasi, which he wants for his build order. I'll tell you how we know that he wants them. So he's going to go up here, forgets to move it for a turn, go up, up, up. He did meet this. We can see that he met this gold city-state down here. That's nice for him. But instead of, I feel like most players here are going to keep sweeping the tundra because it's so dense in city-states. And he's just not. He left the tundra because he wants to hunt the middle of the map where he knows the two city-states he's after are. Keeps going up here. Now he has met Singapore. I'm trading to it. I have a Amani in it. I have a lot of envoys in it. He decides that it's not worth contesting this at the moment. He's going for the real gold. Going up here, and now he meets Kumasi. And what's interesting is the reason I think that this was his objective is because if you follow this warrior, it looks like he just clicked auto explore on it afterwards. Like what it looks like is he hunts down city states that he wants to meet as quickly as possible, and then he just like clicks the auto explore button, and his units kind of just wander around aimlessly. Whereas like most people would probably just send this north because his northern tundra coverage is like non-existent. It's turn 63. Like, come on, you gotta scout both tundras. But he just sends it, I think, off in a random direction, and that's because he clicked the auto explore button once it was done its mission. Now, why do I think he took control of Kumasi? We can see here when he meets it on turn 49. Once he gains the vision, that this is the turn he takes control of it, turn 57. One of the best city states in the game. Why do I think that he knew Kumasi was there before he found it? Okay, so there's a tell. First off, he's sending all of his trade routes internally. Kumasi gives yields for trading to city states. What we see here is that he actually moved the governor Amani before he met Kumasi. Still hasn't met it. Still hasn't met Singapore. Both Singapore and Kumasi incentivize trading to city states because they give extra yields. He's already moved the governor Amani into Cardiff, and we can see it starting to establish. And he starts sending traders to it. After sending all of his traders internally, this one, which we see was going back and forth between the capital and Portsmouth, changes. It's now going down towards Cardiff. He switched to trading to city-states. Before having met Singapore, he was already planning this, and before having met Kumasi. And this is multiple trade routes going down there. We see, so it's not just the one from Portsmouth that goes down. We see one was being sent, these two, one of them's already going down there. We see multiple traders just continuing to go, right? There's already 3 traders on it. And that is super weird. That is super weird to pivot into trading this that late in the game, as if he already knew Kumasi was there and wanted to contest it. So I have a hunch that he knew Kumasi was there and wanted to do it. Also here, he's going to send a settler blind. He had no scouting up here. He just makes a settler, sends it blind, finds a good settle. A little weird, right? And in general, if you look at his scouting, he's getting huts very quickly. This unit's going to go up here, grab this hut. Now it's going to go, like in this instance, right? In the fog, from his POV, it'll tell him that he can move 2 tiles in this direction. This costs 2 movement, this costs 1. He has 3 movement. He could move to this tile, and he can see this when he hovers it. So most people go west here, but he's going to go east, 1 tile at a time. You want to cover more ground, but he doesn't care about that. He goes here, finds the hut that he shouldn't have known was there. Like, and then here, like, most people go north. Again, you have a bunch of units in the southern tundra. You want to get one in the northern tundra to find the city states there. He knows that he doesn't need to, so he doesn't go for it. Yeah, and then later in the game, there are 2 blue city states, right? This guy's going for one of them. It's Fez. He wants to meet both of them for the extra science on all of his science buildings. So he goes here for Fez. And now he's like, okay, I know there's no more important city states in the southern tundra. I'm not going to scout that. Not going to look over here. Well, I guess this guy is going down here for huts, right? There's a hut down here. But this one is just going to go for circumnavigation. He wants to get the era score for circumnavigating the map. So that's what he does. And then he remembers, oh my God, there is a city state in the northern tundra I want to meet. It's almost barren, right? But it has 1 blue CS. So he realizes I'm getting my universities up around turn 60. It's turn 40. It's about time I go meet the blue city state. So he goes up here. It wanders around a bit, but it does eventually make its way up very carefully and deliberately to the blue city state. And now I think he just like clicks auto explore on it again. Yeah, you can see this is the point where it's like he's met the blue city state. Now he's going to click auto explore, and it just wanders around in circles. It's not sweeping the tundra at all left. It just turns around. That's classic auto explore. This is his coverage of the northern tundra, and this is the only blue city state here. Like, so I'm thinking the way Broccoli plays is he's planning his games ahead of time around city states he hasn't met, like Kumasi, which completely justified trading to the city state, which almost nobody would have done. He's meeting all of the blue city states, at least by the time he's getting universities up, like around turn 60. This one was a bit late because I think he forgot to scout up here and maybe he just made some wrong moves, but like he remembered, like, oh, I'm just going to change direction and go up here instead of getting the circumnavigation score. That's my read on it. And again, his moves are sus. They get a lot of huts, so on and so forth. We can follow other scouts and see that they're pretty much just hunting huts roughly as quickly as possible. Like this unit down here is just going down here, grabs this hut, goes down here, grabs this hut, then goes up, grabs this hut. Right, that's 3 huts down here basically as quickly as possible. So yeah, we can go into the next game. This one was one I played, and now I'm thinking I need to start collecting save files for games I didn't play in. So I'm starting to ask players for saves where they played with Broccoli. Okay, so this is another save file we have on Broccoli. Here he's playing Russia, and that means that he wants to meet all of the white city-states as quickly as possible. Because again, he's a religious civ. He builds a lot of holy site buildings. The more white city-states he meets, the more yields he will get on his shrines and temples. So if we follow here, we can just look at his warrior. It goes straight over here, meets the white city-state. It looks like it didn't move between turn 6 and 7. That's actually an illusion because what it does here is it moves down to this snow tile and then moves back up for this hut. Now, that's not actually evidence of cheating in and of itself. You can use the settler lens to reveal city-states from further away, which is a known trick. If you press 4 on your keyboard, it'll open up the settler lens, which shows you where you can and can't settle. I'll edit in post, like footage of this, so you know what I'm talking about. And if you see red where you shouldn't see red, that means that there's a city center within 3 tiles. So he knows the city states here. That's not weird. But yeah, he moves down, then moves back up to meet it, and then he goes grabs the hut. I don't think that's that sus. But now, this unit is going to go over here. Goes to meet this wonder, right? And then he gets this hut. And then he's going to go up here, go around. And most people here are probably thinking, okay, I don't want to double back and scout up here. I want to go around this lake, back into the southern tundra, and scout the rest of it because this could have city states. I want to scout this. I want to go around the lake. He doesn't. He goes back inwards, finds this hut, right? And then I think he clicks auto explore here because it's just kind of double like backing, like doubling back. He also got a scout over here. I think this was a reward for a hut he picked up. So that could maybe be the justification. This hut, I think, rewards him with the scout. But you know, it's kind of insane. But and then we look at his first scout, or his first scout pops out over here, goes east, meets the purple CS. This gives him +1 culture in a city center. And now it's going to go down. It grabs this hut. This is weird. It's so weird to double back here. You want to sweep the tundra, right? Again, you want to find all the city states. He's going to go backwards here instead of continuing to sweep east, right? Goes backwards, finds this hut, right? And then keeps going back, finds this hut. And now he's like, okay, I know I said I was going to go backtrack and check all the snow, but now that I found all of the huts, now that this has no huts in it, I'm going to turn back and go east again. Now I go east, right? And he's going to go down, looks for this hut. It's already taken by the time he gets there. Like, this is all kind of insane to me. Why are you not continuing to sweep? Like, why cross the river west here? Like, sweep east. Cover the southern tundra. He doesn't care. There's nothing here. It's just Lahore. It's just Brussels. There are no whites. There are no blues. There's a blue city-state here, which you'll meet later. If we fast forward, where were all of the blues in this game? That might be the only one. He'll meet it. If we go here. Yeah, he eventually meets it. Right around turn 60 again. It's like, oh, I'm finally about to start building universities. It's turn 60. I have my first university going up. Now it's time to meet Taruga. And it's not just that, it's the way he scouts the northern tundra as well, because unlike the southern tundra, which he doesn't care about because it only has this one white city state, he just wants to get the huts and get out. The northern tundra has 2 white city states. He wants to meet Kandy and Chingwedi as quickly as possible. So if we look here, we can see that he sends this unit straight up. This unit goes like straight up, and it found Chingwedi, it found Kandy, and then I think he just like clicks auto explore. He doesn't keep scouting the tundra. Like, if we look at this unit, it kind of just wanders south here, and that's weird. He like finds the only 2 good city states here, and then he just kind of wanders into the middle of the map. I think he's on auto explore or something. I'm not sure. Now he's like AFKing at a turn. It is what it is. So I think this is highly suspect. And the thing about the games I've shown you so far is that all of these were collected and known about and reported to the mod team before the CPL Season 3 FFA finale. And Broccoli did not actually even qualify for the Season 3 FFA finale by being top 10. What happened is he was tied for 12th on the leaderboard. Tied for 12th. And 2 players dropped out. And then the mods asked him if he wanted to play, which I think is insane. I would never have done that. When he's in the middle of this investigation, we think he might have cheated. We don't have any more games than just these 3. I don't think he should be invited to play. So it's a little crazy that he was then invited to play in the finals. So let's go into the next game. Okay, so the next game we're looking at is the finals. Every player has pseudonyms that they were forced to assume because it's supposed to be an anonymous game, but this one here is Broccoli. We now know that the finals are over and he won. I want to say, before we get into this, that I reported this to Golden RPGs, who I think is the final say of who participates in the finals. He looked over the previous games and said that he thought that they could have easily been played by a non-cheating player. I disagree. There's that really egregious stuff with like planning around Kumasi that you haven't met, going holy site hungry, and then rushing every white city state. It's like kind of crazy. So now we have this game here, the FFA finale. I'm over here. I spawned right next to Broccoli. I'm playing England. That's not important. Broccoli knows that the FFA finale will always be scrutinized. He is not going to cheat as blatantly as in other games. So his units are going to move a little bit less accuracy because he knows that people look at this game and he doesn't want to tip people off. But I think there are still tells that he cheated in this game as well. So here he moves his warrior here, right? That's normal, right? And you think you want to move 2 tiles at a time. You can move 2 tiles down here because it's flat. I think 90% of players move down here, but there's a hut here. So he moves this way. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird that you are not moving down. You could even go into the tundra and meet more city states. It's like every player, I think, takes this move. But no, Broccoli goes up here, and then he's like, oh, I can't be too accurate. Oh my god, this game is the FFA finale. People will speculate this. People will look into this, scrutinize it. I need to be a little inaccurate. So he has a small inaccuracy here, and then he goes up for the hut. Okay, so his first warrior finds the hut as quickly as possible. We look down here. This is his first scout. This is kind of a normal move. Goes down here. Like, all this is normal. He finds the hut as quickly as possible. But he also here prioritizes meeting the city-state first, which it's a white city-state, so it pays off. I don't think it's that weird because, again, with the settler lens trick, he sees red on this tile and this tile, so he knows that there's a city-state here. So he meets the city-state, grabs the hut. And then this unit, if we follow it, is going to go down here, rush for another hut, right? Picks this up. Then it goes over here. It meets Kagwana. It met its warrior up here. And then it instantly was like, okay, no need to go any further west. I'm going to go down, pick up this hut. And then he's like, I mean, I'm already on 5 huts. I mean, 5 huts is above average already. And so he's probably thinking, I got a lot of tempo from these huts. I got like a builder. I got like a bunch of stuff. That's enough for me to be okay with. I'm going to stop hunting down huts so that it's not obvious I cheated. So none of his units really hunt huts from this point on, but the city states are still a giveaway. So he sends this up, which is even more unnatural than if he went west. There's huts over here. This is probably where it's kind of weird that he even went east here to begin with, right? What is this? But like, sweep the tundra, reveal everything. But he goes up, right? And then he's like, oh, I have a unit over here. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm moving back and forth. And then he's like, wait a minute. There was a white city-state over here. He thought that I would kill this with galleys. He thought any city-state that spawns next to a naval civ like this will die because it's super easy to kill them with galleys and it accelerates your game. Except what he failed to account for is this city-state is really, really bad. Every tile is flat, so the yields are bad. There aren't any really useful sea resources except for this turtles, which I could pick up by settling a much better city here myself. So I don't kill this city-state. And I think around turn 28, which is when you would expect to see the galleys already killing the city-state, he might check the stream or something, but he realizes that, oh, the white city-state over here is going to live. I'm playing a religious civ. I need to meet all the white city-states. So now the unit is going to go over here, hunt down this city-state as quickly as possible, meets this city-state, and now it's like, okay, I've scouted far enough west. Although he can see that this is coast, and he can see that this coast has coast to its west, so he kind of knows it's a dead end. But he doesn't even bother checking the rest. He does go, turns around, and now he just scouts players. Right? And his other unit as well, his second scout, right, pops out, goes here, goes up here, finds a hut, right? There aren't really any more huts around him. If he wants huts, the only places he can go are like all around here. And the only other tell I think he has in this game is how little concern he has for scouting the northern tundra up here. He doesn't care about this because it has no city-states useful for him. Doesn't care about this because it has no useful city-states for him. But there is a part that he does need to scout, and that's this, the last white CS. So if we look here, he's going to scout this and basically nothing else on the eastern side of the map. This is his POV, right? If we just drag it forward, there it is. He's going to move his scout every turn as quickly as possible to meet the last white CS. right? And now let's watch. This is how it moved up till turn 49. Where does he move from here? Turn 50, turn 51, turn 52, turn 53, turn 54. He finally moves it. I think he clicked auto explore. He actually AFKs his scout after it's met the last white city state. Like, I think this is enough with the other evidence to deny him the prize money. And I said as much. I said, guys, we made a mistake even letting him into the game. Even though he won, like, we should at least hold off on giving him the prize money right away because I think we have something here. I think he cheated, right? They gave him the prize money on the same day after I told them not to. The mod team paid out, and this is the largest one ever. I showed you an announcement where it said $550 for the prize pool. Somebody chimed in and doubled the prize pool to $1,100 on the final day. So it was split 60 to first place, 60% to first place, 30% to second, and 10% to third. So Broccoli here walks away with $660. While he already was reported for cheating, we already had very suspicious games of him. I don't know what happened. I know the title of the video was that Civ 6 has a cheating problem. It still has one. But that's not even really true. Because since the Andrew investigation, I have looked at everybody. I have looked at every single player at the top of the leaderboard. I have been kind of like a hawk. Any chance I get, I am just like, if they play in my games, I look at them. If I'm investigating Bruiser, I'm investigating Broccoli. When I look at their games, I look at every other top player as well. Nobody else in this game with the top 10 players had anything that I would say was suspicious. It is just Broccoli, Andrew, and Bruiser that I think have been cheating using Civ Replay. And Bruiser and Andrew were banned. So it's not so much that Civ 6 has a cheating problem, it's that it has a moderation problem. It has a problem where cheaters take way too long to get banned. There are very few of them, but they're basically allowed to get away with it for a very long time. And no matter what, there's always people in the mod team who are slowing down investigations, who are refusing to ban them, who are allowing them to participate in events and paying out cash prize money for it. And I don't know what's going on. I think I'm taking crazy pills. So that'll lead us into part 2 of the video, which is Civilization 6 has a moderation problem. Specifically, CPL has a mod problem. Okay, before we get into part 2, actually, I do have one more thing I want to show you. Broccoli played one game after the CPL FFA finale, after he had won. And this game also displays a lot of the same tendencies. I was able to get the save file of this for this game as well. He's playing Hungary, the same Civ that he went for the Holy Site build order before. This time, he's not going to go for the Holy Site build order. He's going to go conventional commercial hubs. This isn't surprising because there's only one white city state this time, not 4. Anyway, his unit goes over here, goes for this hut. This is all, honestly, these moves aren't that weird. Goes up here, and then I think he thinks, okay, Herson on the live stream for his game after the CPL Season 3 finale kind of implied that I was cheating. Because I did imply Broccoli is cheating. He's not going to be as blatant in this game played after, but the city states are still the giveaway. Goes up here, meets the white city state, goes down here, gets this hut, wanders off. His other units are also pretty accurate. There's some weird movement here. If we follow his first scout, I think this is kind of telling. Scout goes down here, meets the wonder as quickly as possible, then grabs this hut. And you think he's playing a Civ that relies on city-states, again, Hungary. Go to the southern tundra, sweep left and right. That'll meet you most of the city-states in the game. He knows that there's nothing else to be that important to meet here except for Mitla later, which he doesn't need to meet right away. So he's not going to go south, right? Broccoli isn't going to go south here. He's going to turn around and go back up and grab this hut, right? He is backtracking a scout closer to his own territory. This is not necessary as well because he's already scouted the land for second and third cities, right? He's already planning to settle on this marble, good city center. It's near the wonder as well. It gives a tile across the river. And he sends it over here, settles across the river as well for the Hungry bonus. This is not like him needing to scout his expands. He already has good cities to settle, right? And then there's another tell in this. In this, his first his scout up here, if we watch it, is going to go up in this direction. Doesn't go straight for the hut, but it does meet Auckland. It meets Singapore, which he wants to meet Singapore because he's going to become suzerain of Singapore and utilize its suzerain bonus this game. And then this is weird. No concern for scouting the northern tundra. Again, like most people go back. I need to meet all the city states. I'm hungry. No, it just goes down. Just goes down. Just straight down. Nothing. Again, there's nothing up here to find, so not surprising that he would do this if he's cheating. And then there's one more tell in this game, which is the way he scouts the city states. So this guy is on a mission. He wants to find the 2 blue city states, Hattusa here, and then Mitla here, right? That's what I think the mission for the scout was. So it goes over here, finds Hattusa, right? And it's like, okay, direction change. I found Hattusa. I'm going to go down. There's Mitla. And now I'm going to click auto explore. Or this one doesn't auto explore, if I recall. This one, he waits here for circumnavigation. If you wonder where these warriors came from, he's hungry. He has cheaper levies of city-states, and they give him a free envoy when he does. He became suzerain of Mitla and then levied its units, and then I think he just clicked auto explore on all of them to get more map coverage. It's whatever. But yeah, this unit waits here, and then it goes east for like circumnavigation era score later. So dead space up here they never scouted. You might be wondering, oh, he eventually scouted this northern tundra. Not true. He became suzerain of Singapore, levied it because he's hungry, because he gets the vision from becoming suzerain. He's hungry, so he then levies the units because that gives him a free envoy, and then he clicks auto explore, and they all wander around in circles and happen to reveal the northern tundra. He never actually scouted this. Now, one thing I want to point out with the auto exploring thing is that this isn't a case of him clicking auto explore when he gets bogged down, the turn timer is too tight. It's not like he's struggling with APM and he clicks auto explore to free up time. What he'll do is he'll auto explore one unit while another one is still being moved manually every turn as precisely as possible. So I believe this unit might be a tell here. So it goes to meet Lahore, goes left, meets this city, leaves the tundra, doesn't need to scout it anymore, meets the other gold city state. These are 2 gold city states down here. He knows that there's nothing else down here. He doesn't need Rapa Nui, doesn't need Nagazargamu, doesn't care about any of this. So he's not going to check it. He's going to click auto explore in turn 39. This unit wanders around in circles, right? Literally back and forth. Literally back and forth because it's on auto explore. It's not making any progress. But at the same time that he's auto exploring this unit is still on its mission. It still hunts Hattusa as quickly as possible. This is not auto explore. This is clearly manual movement. Finds Mitla, like the only 2 blue CS. And it's like crazy to me. And he never scouts down here, really. Like he's just going for circumnavigation. This unit's just going west because he wants the air score for circumnavigating the globe. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about finding anything down here. He knows there's nothing down here. Like, he's cheating. He's for sure cheating. Okay, on to part 2. Alright, so before we talk about the problems with the Broccoli investigation, I want to highlight the problems with the Andrew and Bruiser investigations. In my video on the Andrew investigation, I used the phrase "we" constantly when talking about the investigation. I presented it as though the mod team was on top of everything, as if we are all operating competently towards a shared goal. It looks like a team effort. That is not how the investigation actually went down. There were several members of the mod team who were actively obstructing the investigation the whole time. First off, the investigation that I led into Andrew was not even the first time he had been investigated for cheating. There was actually another investigation 2 months prior that was led by the admin Mamoletto. Mamoletto looked into several save files of Andrew himself, in which Andrew was blatantly cheating with perfect movement towards huts and city-states. No subtlety whatsoever. Mamoletto essentially said that these save files could feasibly be the result of good luck, and then closed the investigation after looking at just 2 games. Now, I don't think this is because Mamoletto is corrupt or stupid, but it's really just because he's lazy. He didn't want to do the work of investigating Andrew. It was only 2 months later where I would open my own investigation into Andrew, and this is where the clown show really began. First off, there's two types of defense you can offer for a suspected cheater. You can offer a defense which is productive and relevant to the investigation, talking about the facts and trying to offer alternative explanations for why some of the moves that look suspicious could actually have been done by a player who wasn't cheating. However, there's another type of defense where you just provide a bunch of arguments which are relevant to the facts of the case and are just there to bog down the discussion and really kill the investigation. Now, I don't mind the first type at all. There were plenty of people who were very constructive. They were offering defenses that made sense. Right here in this example, we see Michael arguing that there's a rational justification for why Andrew could be alt-tabbing from the game and going AFK several minutes on turn 1 in every game, even if he wasn't cheating. However, the vast majority of the defense that was being played for Andrew was of the bad faith, destructive variety that doesn't help us get any closer to the truth. I'm just going to go through some of the examples of ways in which people tried to bog down the investigation with unrelated nonsense. Okay, there were people in there like Under arguing that there's no reason for Andrew to cheat because he was already one of the highest rated players before Civ Replay was released. Now, we know if you've looked at any cheating scandal videos ever on YouTube that it's very common for players who are near the top but not quite at the very tippy top to start cheating just to get that last little bit, especially in a game where the cheating is about mitigating RNG, right? Andrew is good enough that he could have been rank 1, but what he was thinking was, I just keep getting screwed by RNG. If I could just like get rid of the RNG, that would give me the last little push, right? There were also people arguing that even if Andrew is guilty, we shouldn't ban him because it would reflect poorly on the CPL mod team that we allowed him to cheat in the first place. Seriously, Michael actually tried to say that it doesn't matter whether or not Andrew is innocent or guilty. It would look bad on us if we banned him, so we shouldn't. A lot of people tried to get the investigation canned because I had an incentive for Andrew to get a guilty verdict. Now, that is somewhat true, right? Because I said that this would make like good content for a video some point early on into the investigation. So I do have a bias, and I acknowledge this bias. But what they say is that because I'm biased, we don't even need to look at the evidence. We don't need to review the case. We can just throw it out because Herson has a vested interest in getting the guilty verdict. I like to think I conducted myself extremely impartially in the investigation, and there was no real reason that I was attacked so much throughout it. There were people who argued that there's no way to tell if someone's cheating by analyzing scout movements. Seriously, several members of the mod team tried to argue that we needed irrefutable proof that Andrew had cheated in order to ban him, that no amount of statistical evidence, even like a 99.99% chance, would ever be enough to convict somebody of cheating. All of them rolled out arguments that essentially amounted to the fact that no matter how many games we collect in a row of somebody with absolutely perfect scout movement, it will never really reach 100% certainty. And we should never ban someone unless we're completely certain that they cheated. So we should kind of just can the investigation. Lastly, there were some times when people would just straight up lie about the investigation, and this really irked me. Like when admins who are not following the investigation channel closely, like Linda, tuned in to ask for a summary of what we had found, Michael would do things like repeatedly fabricating information in his defense of Andrew. At times, he would do things like drawing lines, which didn't reflect the ways that Andrew's scouts had actually moved in order to make it look like they were making inefficiencies when none were actually there. Other times, he would just claim that there was a more efficient way to collect the hut, but there really wasn't, and he wouldn't provide it. He would just say, oh, it's obvious if you had just moved differently, you could have gotten in a turn sooner. And he said this multiple times when it just wasn't true. I don't know if he believed it, but he would not even like offer that route that was supposedly faster. At one point, he said that you could make these arguments against anybody, and he tried to play a game where he was completely innocent himself, not cheating, and then showed how if you draw the lines on the map to show how the scouts moved, it looks just as suspicious as Andrew's. And he made me do this. He gave the save files and said, okay, Herson, draw the lines. Like he makes me do all the work. Right? So I draw the lines on the map. Of course, it looks nothing like a cheated game, right? Like, his movements are nowhere close to 100% accurate going for Huts. It looks perfectly normal. Nobody would say this is cheated. And then he says, look, it looks the same. Look, it looks exactly like Andrew's. See? And I'm like, what are you, like, there's no way you believe this. Like, you're just trying to waste time. And, like, the investigation is filled to the brim with just time wasting. There were several people who particularly pushed the angle that I was a liar, that I was misrepresenting facts, and tried to get me even removed from the mod team because I couldn't be trusted. It got so bad. It was so hard for me to present any evidence without the discussion being about me that I started feeding my talking points to other members of the mod team, such as Golden RPGs and Derpy McDurple, right? These two moderators are pretty well liked and trusted, so they would present my own talking points as their own so that the ideas could be discussed without the conversation getting turned into being about me. This actually ended up backfiring. It really downplayed the role I played in carrying the investigation on my back. I know this sounds self-serving, and it might sound like I'm downplaying the contributions of other members of the mod team because some of them wrote some really long write-ups themselves, but I really did like more than 70% of the work for this investigation by myself. And because the role I played in getting the investigation moving was underestimated, this has led me to being excluded from future investigations, and that's a bad thing. In the end, after Andrew submitted his appeal, we held a final vote on whether or not to permanently ban him from CPL. This vote actually was 12 to 8. Not only that, after the final decision was made, moderators such as Michael and Undersiv would go on to make public statements ridiculing the mod team's decisions. Now, I wanted to keep all of our disagreements private, right? It's like in a family, you don't want the parents to fight in front of the children. It's a really bad look. So parents are supposed to argue privately so that they always look like they're in agreement when they're talking with their kids, right? And it's the same thing with Discord moderation. We want to argue about all of our disputes privately, but then once we've made our decision, we're supposed to all stand by it publicly. Because of this, I would confront them in private about these comments instead of arguing with them publicly. But this sparked a lot of chaos and unnecessary drama. And honestly, I'm not sure if it was the right idea to leave their statements unchallenged. Personally, I think the level of unprofessionalism on display here should have gotten them removed from the mod team, and if I was in charge, it would have. When I was making my public video on the Andrew investigation, I was aware that the ban would be highly controversial, and I knew that my video also doubled as a sort of PR for the CPL admin team. I was very careful to make sure to paint us only in a positive light, and I feel like all of my public statements reflect this. And in spite of this, damage was done to our reputation anyway by a bunch of mods making irresponsible public statements. Obviously, the fact that I'm making this video now shows that I don't really care about protecting the reputation of the mod team anymore, but at the time, I did. Okay, so we fast forward a bit. Now Bruiser is being investigated for cheating. This is the second cheating scandal, okay? And this time, the investigation has been made admin only. Now, as a mere moderator, this means I'm being excluded, because admins outrank moderators in the hierarchy. However, the whole time, the only admin who knows how hard I carried the Andrew investigation, Golden RPGs, is offloading a large portion of the workload of actually investigating Bruiser to me. Golden would send me save files, I'd review them and share my thoughts with him, and then he'd take those thoughts and present them as his own in the admin-only investigation channel. Now, this isn't to downplay the amount of work that Golden did himself. I'm saying that in addition to him doing a lot of investigating work himself, he also asked me to do a lot of work and then presented that as his own in addition to the work that he put in. And this isn't to impugn him. He knew that I was okay with him doing this. And I would even say that he's one of the best admins on the team. Now, I was perfectly content with this arrangement. I had no complaints, as it ultimately yielded a faster and less contentious ruling against Bruiser, as the anti-Herson squad in the mod team was no longer deliberately sabotaging the investigation. The problem here is that I was relying too heavily on Golden to actually carry out these investigations, and in the case of Broccoli, he kind of dragged his feet. Despite me reporting Broccoli almost 2 months before the Season 3 finals, Golden didn't ever open up an admin-only investigation channel like he did with Bruiser. Now, as I didn't have access to these channels anyway, I had no way of knowing this, and in fact, no official investigation actually took place at all. That leads us to now. I threw a stink about the fact that Broccoli was allowed to play in the CPL Season 3 finale in the private CPL admin Discord server, and I was met with backlash because a lot of people hadn't even realized that I had reported Broccoli in the first place. I had reported him again 2 months ago to Golden, and just assumed he had opened up an admin-only investigation, which he hadn't. So several admins, including the likes of Mamoletto, Michael, and Undersiv, accused me of just being salty because Broccoli had attacked me in the finals game. They still paid out the prize money later that day, and this was after I had shown them all of the evidence I've shown you here. All of those games, I had gone through those save files with them, and they just didn't look at any of it. Now, while they begrudgingly opened an investigation channel eventually after offering a lot of resistance to the idea, they kicked me out of it. Now, Broccoli is currently suspended for 14 days from CPL for having quit a ranked game, so the investigation is currently paused. He's a serial quitter, you see. Not just that, he's actually already served suspensions in the past for other forms of cheating, including using private communication to coordinate in free-for-all games where players are only allowed to communicate publicly. And while it's not much evidence by itself, if you go to his Steam profile, like you literally have comments from people accusing him of having cheated in other games. I know that anyone can comment on a Steam profile, but like, come on. And this is why I'm publishing the video now. I have extremely little faith that Broccoli will actually be punished for cheating, despite the mountain of evidence against him. The CPL admins are completely unwilling to move the case forward, and I don't want to have to carry another investigation on my back when I should be making videos about the newly released Civ 7. Make of this information what you will. That's all for now. Herson signing out.